morning. I'm Mike. We're here to watch Will Burn. In this episode, we are doing Tango and Cash, 1989 buddy cop comedy film directed by Andrei Konchalovsky. That's as good as it's gonna get. He's obviously from Russia. He's been directing movies since 1961. He's done several movies, but the only one I really want to bring up is Runaway Train
Okay.
from 1985. You heard this movie?
I have heard of it. I have not seen it, but I have heard of it.
It stars Jon Voight, Eric Roberts, Rebecca De Mornay, and apparently the original screenplay was done by Akira Kurosawa.
I actually may have seen this years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not positive. I would have to rewatch it, but I get the distinct impression that I would sit down and watch it and be like, "Oh, I've seen this." So,
also the feature debuts of Danny Trejo and Tommy Tiny Lister. Let's see, Jon Voight and Eric Roberts were both nominated for Academy Awards for that film.
okay.
So, must be pretty good.
That kind of says an awful lot about this movie in particular. So,
well, you say that, but
there's a lot to unpack with this movie. I know that one going in. I did some homework on this one, and the more I read about it, the funnier it got. So,
so Andre was directing this, and they got three months into shooting it, and then the producer John Peters just didn't like what he was wanting to do. They were having some creative differences. Yeah. John Peters wanted a more campy, lighthearted, silly thing, and Chokolavsky, which, going by the Runaway Train here, was like, no, we're going to do a more serious film. And John Peters like, no, fuck you. We're doing it my way. You're gone. And they brought in two other dudes, Albert Magnoli and Peter McDonald, that finished up the film.
Well, actually, the way that what I had read about this was that they had one director that came in and finished reshooting all of the stuff that Peters wanted to get rid of in the film. And then after they had finished the reshoots for the film, they brought in a third director, and he was considered a editing doctor. He was the guy that took really messy, shitty productions and pieced something together into a coherent sort of narrative. And that was his credit. But also, Sylvester Stallone had a big hand in this movie. He did a lot of the rewrites. He brought in his own director of photography, somebody that did all of Stallone's previous movies. And so, yeah, his hands aren't clean in this one. He was also partially responsible for the firing of the director on this one. And weirdly, I'm intrigued to see that, because in the 80s, this was like legitimately one of the last two movies released in the 80s. This was released on December 22nd, 1989. It released the same day as Always, the Steven Spielberg, Holly Hunter, John Goodman movie. Buddy cop films had become a big thing because we had Lethal Weapon and all those movies. And so I can understand why they wanted to bring in this very serious director to do like an action film that had some depth to it. But then John Peters, who I'm just going to say it. Okay, John Peters is a fucking idiot, number one. And no, I can back this one up. Kevin Smith will back me up. As a matter of fact, if you ever seen the video where Kevin Smith talks about doing the script for Superman Reborn, and the guy that's, doing all the weird shit and talks about how he wants a giant spider because spiders are the main predator of the insect world. Yeah. That's John Peters. That's who that guy is. And that's also the guy that produced Wild Wild West, which has a giant mechanical spider in it. So yeah, I could see where John Peters and the director were butt heads on this, because you have a guy that does very serious, heavy, character-driven films, and John Peters, who makes bad movies. So, and let's be honest, this is not a good movie. This is a movie that is saved by the charisma of its leads.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. But John Peters' contributions to this film really amount to the really hokey opening scenes and the batshit insane ending to this film. And that's really about it in a nutshell. John Peters is a former Barbara Streisand husband, hairdresser, turned Hollywood bigwig who decided he knew better than established film directors how to make movies. And I don't know how to feel about any of that. So
It's Hollywood, man. You fail upward. I don't get it, but whatever. So, starring in this masterpiece is Sylvester Stallone as Ray Tango. We have Kurt Russell as Gabriel Cash. Terry Hatcher as Catherine Kiki Tango,
yeah.
who is Sylvester Stallone's sister. Jack Palance as Yves Perret. Was it Perot? Perret?
Perot. Peroned, however they pronounce it. Whatever.
Perret. So that's your main cast. Then we got a shit ton
actually, there's two other villains in this.
I'm getting to supporting cast.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Good Lord.
I'm sorry.
Brian James as the henchman for Jack Palance. He doesn't have a name. Wait, Requin. Whatever. He plays Leon in Blade Runner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you have James Hong as Quan, who is Lopan in the Big Trouble in Little China. And then you have where's he at?
Alamo.
Yes.
Plays. And the reason you should know who that is that is Gul Dukat from Deep Space Nine. Yeah. And he's completely underutilized in this film because Jack Palance has got to chew the fuck out of that scenery in every scene that he is in. If there is, he's just, whatever scene is going on, I think somebody told him turn it up to 11 and he delivers.
Yes, he does. Yeah. All the main characters are at absolute 11 maxed out. But yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, he's underutilized. James Hong, as like we said before, as Lopan, can play a great villain too. And they're on the TV screen for like 10 minutes. I mean, not 10 minutes, like 10 seconds. So
it's kind of, well, there's also Robert Zadar and his jaw.
Yeah, and then you have what's his name? Howard.
Not Ron Howard. It's his brother.
Clint Howard.
Family tree here.
Clint
Howard. There you go. Howard. He's been in everything from Ticks, which is fun garbage, to the Ice Cream Man, which is just garbage, to Apollo 13, which is actually a really great movie. So he always brings his A game. He always puts some interesting spin on his characters, no matter what he's playing, no matter how big the budget is. I just think he's just one of those guys that genuinely loves acting, and he'll take any role as long as it's interesting.
We can tear into this plot. My plot summary is literally 7 lines long.
That's about right. You have the two biggest cops in Los Angeles. One's on the east side, one's on the west side. Yep. They are both set up by Jack Palance because he's the behind-the-scenes supervillain who's really just playing cat and mouse with Tango and Cash. And so he does this big setup, and they get arrested by a bunch of cops who are conveniently waiting at the scene of a setup where they supposedly murdered somebody.
And they supposedly murder a undercover FBI agent.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're sent to jail where all kinds of wacky slapsticky things happen. And they learn how to build muscle by using electronic stimulation and hot water. At which point they decide that they're going to escape from jail, and then The original plan to escape turns out to be another elaborate setup with Jack Palance working in the shadows behind the scenes. And let's see, Robert Zadar gets electrocuted to death. That's a fascinating little side note there. They ride high power cables using their belts out of the prison because yeah, no one ever would have thought of that, but sure, why not? And then they meet back up in town, and we're introduced to Sylvester Stallone's hot sister, and a budding romance is put in there, and then it was Sylvester Stallone's captain who's like, I'm going to help you track down the guys who did this and clear your name.
Yep.
And a lot of shooting ensues, and they get a really dumb looking super truck that's armed to the teeth, and they find Jack Palance, and they make that rat bastard pay. And then they high five, and it's the end. Did I miss anything?
No, no. I mean, that's really it.
It's not rocket science, but if you're looking for tension, nope. If you're looking for suspense, nope. If you're looking for an intriguing criminal drama, nope. If you're looking for, the realities of being on the force, if you're looking for Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell to tool around the set and chew the scenery and then play kind of out of character characters that are completely in character and shoot a bunch of shit and say quirky one-liners and try to sound much cooler than the script is actually worth.
I really hate
what?
Litter.
God damn it.
What?
Forgot to bring the marshmallows.
This is your jam.
Yeah. The long and short of this one is it's Lethal Weapon cranked to 11.
This is legitimate. It is Lethal Weapon meets Big Trouble in Little China. But without the charm and without as good a script. And this is one of those movies that it has not aged well. It has not been kind.
No, you knew it wasn't going to be the day you watched it back in 1989. You knew this was not going to age well at all. No. But having said that and having rewatched it, I like Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone as a combo. I think they work very well. I think their chemistry is actually pretty darn good, even with the shitty dialogue. And my God, that fucking dialogue sucks so fucking bad. It is fucking awful. But they make it bearable. Not good, bearable.
Yeah, they sell it on charm. There's no two ways about that.
God, they sell the fuck out of it.
This is an interesting movie for me because Stallone's career was starting to go into a lull at this point. He had not had a really big hit in a bit, and because Rambo 3 didn't fare that well. And then he did Cobra, which was just cheesy as shit and was widely panned by everybody. And then what was the movie that he did right before this?
I don't know, but fun fact, my sister and her ex David, that was their first date. They went to see Cobra. That was their first date.
Angel of the city. Was Over the Top before this or after this? I really think Over the Top was at the front of the beginning of this skid off, because if I'm not mistaken, that was a Golden Globus film. And then Cobra was a Golden Globus film as well.
Yeah, man, I think Over Top came out 87 or something like that.
Something
I think right around the same time as Top Gun.
like I said, Stallone was kind of on the skids. His shtick was wearing out, him being the overly muscled superhero type. And that's like where a lot of the bad dialogue in this movie comes from. There's that whole bit at the very beginning where he's all like, "Oh, Rambo's a pussy,"
right?
you know. So
I'm sure he wrote that line
I
himself.
have, he wrote that line. I'm sure he wrote the line about "I don't like Danish" because this movie was made right after his divorce from Bridget Nielsen, who was his co-star.
Thank you, I didn't catch that one.
yeah, I have no doubt that Sylvester Stallone was taking out his personal frustrations in the dialogue that he was rewriting for this movie. And Kurt Russell has always been in and out of. He's all over the board. He did movies with his wife, and Stallone asked him, "Hey, let's get back together and do a Tango and Cash too." And Kurt Russell was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good, man. Thanks. No, really, I'm good." But the funny thing is, Kurt Russell's character was supposed to be played by Patrick Swayze. That was who originally was attached to the role. That also explains Kurt Russell's hair in this movie.
I was thinking that in my head as I was watching. It's like, oh my god, his hair is just like Patrick Swayze's.
Yes,
like fucking
yes.
Roadhouse and shit.
and Patrick Swayze actually turned this movie down to do Roadhouse. So
there you go.
so yeah.
Also,
The history of this film.
shit.
The history of this film is far more interesting than this film. But
as bad as it is, I still enjoyed watching it. I still had fun. It's not a good movie, but in the right frame of mind, wink, wink. I had a good time watching it.
No, I'm going to say this movie aged like milk. In 1989, when this dropped, I'm sure people thought this was just like the coolest thing, that this was the future of action films. And in a way it was, because it was so over the top. Yeah. And, plot wise, it was super minimal. And it was basically all about the charisma of the leads. For me, this is like, they took Lethal Weapon and then made it dumb. Yeah. And that's really how this comes off, because they're trying to get that buddy dynamic, but we don't want to spend time on actually developing characters and giving them interesting backstories, or showing some of the seedier sides of being a cop, and like what really goes on when you're a cop. No. Let's leave all that shit out, and let's just say they're the two bestest. Yeah. And they should be besties.
Yeah. It's a comic book movie is really what it is. These guys are portrayed as superheroes. Oh, and you have a super villain. So yeah. They don't ever really get hurt. They get electrocuted, but they recover very, very quick.
Yes. Yes.
And when they kick ass, they kick some major fucking ass.
Like when you start at Lethal Weapon, and go back and rewatch Lethal Weapon, it's a smart, interesting, compelling film about two cops that don't want to work together, and one of them's a family man who's just trying to get through to retirement, and the other one is this cop that's kind of ready to blow his own brains out. And they get everything about that movie works because of how compelling the script is. And I'm sure that that's what the director wanted to do with this, make something that was smart and compelling and interesting and has an honesty to it. But the director or the producer decided, no, we need to camp the shit out of this. Really, the audience had kind of moved on from this kind of shit, because this is late, like 89 through like 93, 94. There's a lot of really schlocky action films that came out then. And we brought up Roadhouse earlier, and I want to bring this one up. Roadhouse succeeded where this failed, because even though it like goes over the top and there's some truly outrageous shit in that movie, the characters all felt lived in. They felt honest. They weren't so busy trying to crack a joke, or hey, how do we get the audience to laugh in this scene? Dalton was just there to fuck people up and fire people. and it worked. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that Roadhouse is a good movie, but damn it, if I'm sitting down and I'm like, I want a schlocky action film, I'll throw in Roadhouse every day of the week and twice on Sunday before I watch Tango and Cash again.
See, I'm the opposite of the spectrum. I've actually never made it through Roadhouse ever. It is so fucking bad. See, with Tango Cash, I grew up watching it, and and at the time, when you're a kid, when I was younger, I was like, it was a fun movie, and I never dug Roadhouse. And the other thing that didn't help Roadhouse is the female lead was just meh for me.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
You're a Terry Hatcher kind of guy.
No, it really had nothing to do with Terry Hatcher. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have Terry Hatcher in it. It would be nice to see a little more of Terry Hatcher in it. But at the same time, the girl in Roadhouse, it didn't do it. No.
There is the one line in this movie that always gets a laugh out of me, and it is Kurt Russell addressing the court. Every time I've seen that scene, I bust up laughing because he sells the shit out of it.
I'll insert it right here.
Mr. Tango has spoken very eloquently, and I wish I could be as forgiving. But I can't, because this whole thing fucking sucks.
But it's just like one of those. It's really obvious when you watch it, knowing the history of Stallone and Schwarzenegger and how they had this competition, like who's the big action badass and blah 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 blah. There's a lot of loaded dialogue in this, and it's meant to be like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but it just kind of comes off as Stallone airing his dirty laundry to the world, but trying to be like, huh, I'm funny. Nah, not so much, Stallone. You have yet to do a comedy that actually was funny. Go ahead and insert the box cover for Stop or My Mom Will Shoot and Oscar on this one.
So, don't forget, what's the one with him and Dolly Parton?
Rhinestone, yes. Yeah. When Stallone starts thinking that he can do stuff outside of his bailiwick, when he starts thinking he's a real actor, that's when shit goes bad. And that's and I'm not saying that Stallone doesn't have talent, because the first Rocky movie is great. Lords of Flatbush is great. He's solid in that. And I'm not going to say that he has the type, because he also did John Rambo, and he brought a lot of depth and character to that. So,
he just
like
can't
other
do
actors
comedy.
I've talked about,
He's not a comedic actor.
No.
Yeah.
And in the right role, Stallone is phenomenal, because Copland is a great movie.
Yeah.
And he's directly involved in that. And I am a fan of a lot of Stallone's work, to be perfectly honest. I'm just not a fan of this self-deprecating crap that he put together. And, oh, no, I didn't fire the director. John Peters fired it. Fuck you, Stallone. Don't tell me that they weren't all like, well, what do you think? It's like, well, you know what I think? I think maybe we should just go ahead and get rid of him and film a different ending. Kurt, what do you think? Hey, a check cleared.
Oh man, what could have been? Again, without fucking interference and let the director do his fucking thing.
Yeah,
we could have had a really good fucking movie.
Like I said, I don't think they were going for a good movie. I think they were going for a crowd pleaser, and I think they were going for that Top Gun crowd. I think that they were trying to appeal to as wide an audience as possible, and that's why none of this like rings sincere, because it's a cop movie ish. I mean, there are characters that are cops in it, but
right.
They're about as deep as a shot glass. So there's a lot about this movie that's very lazy, and as much as I want to like this movie, as much as I love Kurt Russell, and I love Kurt Russell because he is the perfect actor as far as flexibility goes. He can go from playing Snake Plissken to playing McCready to fucking playing the dad of two boys in Overboard, which I think that movie is fucking still funny to this day, and kind of in a sweet, funny kind of way. Kurt Russell is a charming dude. He's got a shit ton of charisma, and he really is the kind of actor that Stallone wants to be.
Yes,
because
I'll say the exact same thing.
Stallone isn't that versatile an actor.
Yeah.
I'm not. Watch this movie one time. If you've never seen it before, watch it once, and then move on with your life. Move on. Just don't hold it against anybody involved in it. Don't be angry. Just watch it. Go. That was stupid, and then move on.
So you're kind of like me. You're not really recommending it, but go ahead and watch it. I'm gonna not really recommend it, but it is a fun movie. I think it's worth a watch once.
Yeah.
You know, just for fucks. Because again, the chemistry is great between the two, Kurt Russell and Stallone. And I still say they should do another movie together. Not necessarily Tango and Cash, but partner together in something.
I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah.
I would most definitely say, yeah, I'd like to see Kurt Russell and Stallone do something. Not an Expendables movie, not
No.
a Tango and
No.
Cash
No.
reunion. I would like to see them written age appropriate for who they are now. I mean, they're both in their 70s, and I still love them. And let's be honest, Kurt Russell was one of the best parts of Hateful Eight. His character was phenomenal, and he amped it up to 10. He didn't go to 11.
Nope.
He played it to the bone, but he didn't overplay it. And
Yes.
that is why Kurt Russell works. He knows when to not turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this movie actually will watch better. If I had known all this before I rewatched this movie, I probably would have gotten more enjoyment out of it. Being able to like pick it apart and be all like, yeah, and that's where John Peters fucked this movie up good. I would have probably enjoyed that aspect of it more. And I think if you watch this and now you will know all this and you get to watch it and dissect the film as it's going on, you'll probably get a lot more out of it. So I would actually really like to see what the original director did finish the film. I would love to see that version of the movie.
Me too. I would love to see that as well.
So,
all right. Give us a Stallone and Kurt Russell vehicle you would recommend, or a buddy cop movie you would recommend.
oh God, if Kurt Russell, The Thing is a gimme. Escape from New York is a gimme, but skip Escape from L.A. because it's crap like this.
Yeah.
I would say Overboard, which I know it's not a great movie, but I find it really fun and charming.
Okay. If you could only pick one Kurt Russell movie.
Only one?
Yeah.
Shit. The Thing.
Okay.
There's no other. If you're only going to get to see one version of Kurt Russell, The Thing. Everything else comes in second. That is by far his most interesting, understated performance that just works perfectly in that film. But everybody's seen The Thing, so.
So I'm gonna go a different pick for Kurt Russell. I'm gonna go with my introduction to Kurt Russell, and that is Used Cars.
Oh shit! And yet more proof that Kurt Russell can do comedy.
And very well. Very well. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that one, but yeah, no, you're right. Used Cars is genuinely one of the funniest movies I think I've ever seen ever. It's like in the same league as Slapshot. It's just completely off the rails. You know what? You're coming along for the ride and you don't know where you're going to wind up, but we're going to wind up somewhere.
It is batshit fucking absurd, but yet strangely believable.
You know these guys. For Stallone, honestly, if you're only one of those if you're one of those people that has never actually watched the original Rocky, and I know a lot of people, oh, Rocky, you're thinking Rocky 3. Go back and watch the original Rocky. It is a phenomenal film. It genuinely is. It's sincere and it's heartfelt, and it is Stallone staying in his lane. He is playing the exact kind of character that you love him for, that he's perfect for. So I really love that one. I really like Copland. I think that movie doesn't get enough attention. It's kind of been lost to it. Weirdly, I don't even mind Stallone as Judge Dredd, but I'm not going to tell you that's a good movie. That kind of falls more into this range of, yeah, it's bad, but it's watchable bad, but it's bad. There's so many.
For me, if I'm going to pick just one for Stallone, it's going to be the first Rambo, First Blood.
See, and like I said, First Blood, it's all character film. It's a character film that has an action backbone to it, but it doesn't rely on the action to carry it. And it's all about character development, and it's smart, and it's entertaining, and it's relatable. And then, Rambo First Blood Part Two, shit just goes off the rails. It's just like, I'm gonna walk around and I'm gonna get some. And I can't help but think that it was Chuck Norris doing Missing in Action, because that movie was a surprise hit out of fucking nowhere. And it's all about, yeah. That was one of the first really big, widely watched, and really acclaimed Golden Globus films, because they were known for doing schlocky flicks. And Missing in Action put Chuck Norris on the map as a actual actor and an action star. So I really do think that Stallone kind of hey, how about we go and rescue some people in Vietnam, and then I get to shoot a bunch of bad guys, all right? hey, I'll do it without a shirt on. so the funny thing is that because of all the reshoots and because of all the shit that went on with this movie barely made a profit. And we didn't talk about box office on this one, but this movie's production budget and reshoot budget blew its big box office really bad. So
well, you say that, but there's conflicting data. IMDb says it only brought in like 66. Wiki has it more like an 156, but I think they're also counting DVD rentals and things like that too.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure, but I think definitely the DVD, or I'm sorry, VHS rentals and things like that probably helped dramatically.
You're probably not wrong that this movie was definitely a bigger hit on home media and definitely on cable than it was at the actual movie theaters. But this movie didn't do John Peters' career as a producer any favors.
So Tony, what are we watching next?
We're going old school. We are going back to the kinds of films that our families used to take us to go see back in the ancient 1970s. We are going to be going with the original Bad News Bears.
Oh man, it's a fucking classic. Total classic. Fucking Walter Matthau. Oh geez, something Haley. What's his name?
Oh shit, I can picture his face. Kelly Lee, damn it.
Tatum O'Neal. And what is his fucking name?
Jackie Earl, or he's got 3 names and I can't remember it. But
I'll have it for you in a second. Hang on.
Okay.
Jackie Earl Haley.
There you go. So
You're right there.
Yeah, Jackie Earl Haley. He's like one of those actors that I don't get why he disappeared, and I don't get why he doesn't get more roles, because he was great in Watchmen, and he did everything he could possibly do with the Freddy Krueger reboot, but the reboot was a dud, and it had nothing to do with him or his performance. It had everything to do with that fucking shit script. So,
it was awful. That movie
I would like to see him get a hell of a lot more work, because he's a really underappreciated actor. It's his whole backstory is it's almost as sad as Willie Ames. So.
We'll have to get into that, because I never really delved deep into him or Tatum O'Neal. She had a very kind of rocky child star thing going on too, and Walter Matthau is just a Hollywood legend.
Absolutely. And Walter Matthau was consistently famous from the late 50s all the way up to shit. I mean,
time he died.
2000s. I mean, So I mean, he's kind of like Jack Lemmon in that, you know what, Jack Lemmon, doesn't matter what you put him in, you're going to get something great out of that man no matter what. And Walter Matthau was the same kind of way. So I can appreciate The Odd Couple, but I can also appreciate, Walter Matthau as the former professional ball player turned drunk pool cleaner that we get in the Bad News Bears. So I am 100% on board with watching this and just talking about how family entertainment has changed since we were kids.
Dramatically. Oh my God. A lot has changed in 40 plus years.
Yeah. So to say the least. So, but we will cover all that on our next episode of Tony and Mike Watch the World Burn.
See you guys next time.